Shwmae a croeso nôl. Dyma sesiwn 2 am y cwrs Cymraeg ail iaith, ac heddi, dyn ni'n canolbwyntio ar rhesymau estynedig, extended reasons. Felly, bant â ni te. So, amcanion y sesiwn heddi ydy i adolygu sut ydyn ni'n gallu datblygu ein ymatebion. Dyn ni'n mynd i edrych ar rhesymau estynedig. Dyn ni'n mynd i cymharu rhesymau mewn darnau darllen, a wedyn, dyn ni'n mynd i canolbwyntio ar gwella brawddegau a'r topigau gwahanol. So we're looking at how we can extend sentences, looking at different ways to extend those sentences, comparing reasons into reading pieces, and then using that information to help us improve sentences on different topics in our own work. So, i ddechrau te heddi, dwi eisiau chi canolbwyntio ar, please, sut ydyn ni'n gallu datblygu y brawddegau canlynol? How could we improve the following sentences? So mae 5 brawddeg ar y sgrin. Brawddeg 1 yn dweud, mae fy ffrind yn mwynhau nofio bob penwythnos. My friend enjoys swimming every weekend. So what could we add to that to improve it, to add that extra detail? So I want you to think about here things like idioms you could include in your work, connectives you could include in your work. Do you agree or disagree with the statement? Okay. Think about the 5 W's. They've said when they go swimming, but have they said where they go swimming, why they like swimming, etc. Okay. Brawddeg 2 yn dweud, es I i'r cinema ddo yn Wrecsam. I went to the cinema yesterday in Wrecsam. Once again, could we add information to that? Gyda, with, who we went with. What was it like? Could we give a barn, an opinion? Rhif 3 wedyn, mae'n gas gyda fi rugby, mae'n well gyda fi cricket. I hate rugby, I prefer cricket. So once again, could you add a connective in the middle maybe? Could you put an idiom at the start? There's lots of options there to be able to extend that sentence. Rhif 4. Hoffwn I astudio cemeg yn y brifysgol yn y dyfodol. I would like to study chemistry in university in the future. So how could you extend that? Could you say why? Could you tell me what your friend would like to do? Okay, so getting in a third person sentence pattern. Ac yr un olaf wedyn, fel arfer, dwi'n mynd ar wyliau I Sbaen neu Japan. So usually, I go on holiday to Spain or Japan. Okay, you could say where you don't go, or you could say where you would like to go to get a different tense in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you 2 minutes to try and add some detail to each one of those sentences. Then I'm going to show you different ways that we can improve our work, and we're going to focus specifically on extended reasons. So using achos, but not just using achos maen, but actually using a little bit more detail there. Okay, so 2 munud yn dechrau nawr. Don't forget as well to try and use variety in your work. Okay, so if you've used one connective for one sentence, try and use a different connective. If you've used one opinion, try and use a different opinion. Okay, the more variety you can show, the better your answer is going to be. Okay, mae 1 minute ar ôl, so 1 more minute to try and add some detail to those, and then we'll go through and look at different ways of extending. Don't forget as well that further on in the video, you can pause the video and you can rewind as many times as you want. So if you want to, if you learn an extended reason further on and you want to go back and change your answer, then you can have a look back at this. Okay, so we're going to move on now to have a look at ways we can datblygu atebion, develop our answers. So there are several different ways in which we can add detail to our work. Here are some of the ways that we can do that, okay? So tenses, by including a different tense, maybe the past tense, maybe a future tense, maybe the conditional tense. You'll be used to doing things like es I, I went, roedd hi'n, it was, or conditional tense, hoffwn I, I would like to, okay? You can change the person. You can put a third person in. That means maybe a friend's opinion, somebody else's opinion, okay? You can use idioms. I've just used a couple there. A bod yn honest, yn bersonol, so to be honest, personally. O dro I dro, from time to time. Fel arfer, usually. They're good ways to add detail to maybe the start of a sentence, or maybe just before you're going to use a reason. They're not all the idioms. You may know many more. There's just a couple of examples there. Connectives, okay? Ac, you'll be used to using that one. And, ond, but. Hefyd, also. Nice one if you're listing more than one reason, okay? Wedyn, opinions. So try and vary your opinions. Like I said earlier, not just using dwi'n hoffi, but trying to say dwi'n hoffi. And then the next time using mae'n gas gyda fi or yn fy marn I. Okay? And then obviously reasons. And that's the one we're focusing on today. So achos maen we will be used to using. Okay? Achos maen or because it's. Now, we want to try and develop that further to add a bit more detail and to be really specific with our answers. Okay, so we're going to look at ways that we can use our developed reasons so that we don't always use achos maen. Now, you will be used to using achos maen plus an adjective. Now, you will know that when you use achos maen, because it's, that adjective then may very well need a soft mutation, okay, a treiglad meddal. But what I wanted to try and do is develop our vocabulary further by using more extended phrases. So I've got a couple here on the screen for you. So I want us to practice saying these. You will need to use these, different ones in different contexts, okay? You will need to revise vocabulary to be able to fit in the keyword that you need, okay? Felly, I want you to say these after me, please. So the first one says, achos mae'n gallu bod yn, because it can be. Okay, so try that again. Achos mae'n gallu bod yn, because it can be. So rather than just saying because it's, because it can be this, and then that allows you to use maybe sometimes or usually as well. The second one, achos mae'n helpu gyda. Let's try that again. Achos mae'n helpu gyda, because it helps with. Achos mae'n edrych yn, because it looks, okay? Achos dwi'n hoffi, because I like. Achos mae'n gas gyda fi, because I hate. And the last one, achos mae'n achosi, because it causes. Okay, so we're going to try those one more time, and then I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how you could use them to discuss different themes, okay? Themau gwahanol. Felly, after me, one last time. Achos mae'n gallu bod yn. Achos mae'n helpu gyda. Achos mae'n edrych yn. Achos dwi'n hoffi. Achos mae'n gast gyda fi. You may know that as achos mae'n gas dy fi. That's the same thing, that's fine. And achos mae'n achosi. Okay, so I've just given you an example here of words that you could use after one of these extended reasons. So let's have a look at the first one. So for example, achos mae'n gallu bod yn beryglus, because it can be dangerous. So you may be talking about chwaraeon, a particular sport that you dislike. Achos mae'n gallu bod yn beryglus. Now, don't forget these are reasons, so they will follow opinions a lot of the time. So you may say something like, achos mae'n gallu bod yn ddefnyddiol, because it can be useful. So you may give an opinion, something along the lines of, dwi'n mwynhau astudio mathemateg. I enjoy studying maths. Achos mae'n gallu bod yn ddefnyddiol, because it can be useful. Or achos mae'n gallu bod yn bwysig, because it can be important. Now you will see as well that yn there after the bod yn, that, if an adjective follows that, is going to need a mutation, okay, a soft mutation. So I've done that for you, okay? So peryglus, dangerous, has gone to beryglus. Defnyddiol, useful, has gone to ddefnyddiol. Pwysig has turned to bwysig, okay? So just be mindful, if you are using an adjective here, that it needs a soft mutation. Let's have a look at the second one then. Achos mae'n helpu gyda, because it helps with. So you may say that you like part-time jobs. You may say that you like earning money. And once again, words that could be useful here. Sgiliau helps me with sgiliau, skills. Helps me with the dyfodol, the future. Helps me gyda gwaith, helps me with work, helps me with ysgol, helps me with school. Okay? Achos mae'n edrych yn, because it looks dda ar y CV. So once again, part-time jobs, work, maybe employment. I like my part-time job because it looks good on the CV, because it looks interesting. So I would like to, so think about how you say that. Hoffwn I astudio, I would like to study Saesneg, English, achos mae'n edrych yn ddiddorol, because it looks interesting. You could develop that even further by saying because the work looks interesting, or because the course looks interesting, okay? Achos mae'n achosi, because it causes. Problemau gyda, achos mae'n achosi problemau gyda, and then whatever you want to say there. Achos mae'n achosi tensiwn, okay? And then you've got achos dwi'n hoffi and achos mae'n gas gyda fi. So, for example, dwi'n mwynhau'r penwythnos, I enjoy the weekend, achos dwi'n hoffi nofio gyda ffrindiau. So I enjoy my weekend because I like swimming with friends. So it's a little bit more detailed than just I enjoy my weekend because it's fun. You're telling me exactly, specifically, what you enjoy about that weekend. Okay, and the same goes for achos mae'n gas gyda fi, I hate. So, dwi ddim yn mwynhau gwaith cartref. I don't enjoy homework. Achos dwi'n casau gwastraffu amser because I hate wasting time. And then you could follow that up by saying what you prefer to do, what you would rather do instead. Okay? And the phrase for I prefer is mae'n well gyda fi. So what these phrases are going to do is help you give that little bit more detail. And yes, you do need to know the vocabulary. So it's worth revising vocabulary weekly. Okay? Just a couple of words a week to help you use these. But it will help you not use achos mae'n every time you want to give a reason. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to look at dau dasg darllen. So you've got Sarah ar y chwith, and then Sioned wedyn, okay, yn yr ail ddarn. So what we're going to do is we're going to read these together, and what I want you to do is I want you to colour code the reason. So I want you to analyse these answers. If they've used an achos mae'n and because it's, if they've used it accurately, then that's absolutely fine. But we want to see a mixture of the basic reasons and the extended reasons in the work. So what you're going to do is you're going to write the answers and then you're going to highlight any basic reasons in gwyrdd, in green. Then we're going to look at if they've used an achos dwi'n, so achos dwi'n hoffi or achos dwi'n mwynhau, once again adding detail, and achos mae'n gallu bod yn. That's going to be a yellow because it can be. If they've used the really extended reasons like achos mae'n helpu gyda or achos mae'n edrych yn, then we're going to write them down and highlight them in coch, okay, in red. So let's read Sarah's first, and then you can go and skim and scan it and look for the reasons. Okay, so I want you to practice reading this after me so you can practice the pronunciation of the key words. Felly, bant ni. Shwmai, Sarah ydw i. Yn fy marn i, dwi'n mwynhau ysgol, achos dwi'n hoffi dysgu pethau newydd. Ar y llaw arall, dwi ddim yn mwynhau Sbaeneg, achos mae'n gallu bod yn anodd. Mae fy ffrind yn cytuno. Mae'n gas gyda hi Sbaeneg achos mae'n heriol. Yn y dyfodol, hoffwn i astudio'r gyfraith, achos mae'n edrych yn ddiddorol. Okay, so I want you to categorise those achoses now. Is it just an achos mae'n? Is it an achos dwi'n hoffi or dwi'n dysgu? Or is it an achos mae'n helpu gyda? Okay, I'm going to read Sioned's and then we'll go through them. So, shwmai, Sioned ydw i. Mae dysgu ieithoedd yn bwysig iawn achos mae'n edrych yn dda ar y CV. ac mae'n ddefnyddiol am y dyfodol. Mae Cymraeg yn dda achos mae'n helpu gyda sgiliau newydd, ac mae'n helpu gwneud ffrindiau newydd. Ar y penwythnos, es I Abertawe gyda'n ffrindiau newydd. Okay? So, Sarah starts off by saying, yn fy marn I, so she's given an opinion. In my opinion, I enjoy ysgol, school. Achos, here's the reason then. Because I like learning new things. So that's a really good reason. Dwi'n hoffi dysgu pethau newydd. Okay? Rather than just, mae'n great, mae'n hwyl, mae'n gyffroes. I like learning new things. Ar y llaw arall, on the other hand, so she's telling us that she's going to switch to a negative opinion. Dwi ddim yn mwynhau Sbaeneg. I don't enjoy Spanish. Achos mae'n gallu bod yn anodd. It can be hard. It can be tricky. Okay? Her friend agrees. Look at the end part of Sarah's paragraph. Yn y dyfodol, hoffwn I astudio'r gyfraith, achos mae'n edrych yn ddiddorol. So in the future, I would like to study law because it looks interesting. Okay, so once again, rather than just it's interesting, it looks interesting. The course looks interesting. The same then for Sioned. Okay, so Sioned says, mae dysgu ieithoedd yn bwysig. So she starts off with an opinion. Learning languages is important. Achos mae'n edrych yn dda ar y CV, because it looks good on the CV. Ac mae'n ddefnyddiol am y dyfodol, and it's useful for the future. Mae Cymraeg yn dda. Welsh is good, because it helps learn sgiliau newydd, new skills. Now, one thing I want to draw your attention to there is the fact that the adjective, don't forget, follows the noun, comes after the noun. So we say sgiliau newydd, new skills. Sgiliau pwysig, important skills. Sgiliau hanfodol, necessary skills, okay, relevant skills. Ac mae'n helpu gwneud ffrindiau newydd, and it helps make new friends, okay? So both of these reading tasks have included really good reasons, and they've got a mixture of achos mae'n, achos dwi'n, achos mae'n gallu bod yn, achos mae'n helpu gyda. So what this person is showing is they can develop an answer. They're not just sticking to achos mae'n hwyl, achos mae'n great, achos mae'n sbwriel. And the more that you practice these, using these on a daily basis, weekly basis, when you're doing assessments, when you're doing past papers, then the more confident you're going to become with them. And that means when you're doing your exams, that you're going to be more likely to use these in your work. Okay, so it's a really, really good idea to practice using these when you're practicing different themes, different topics, and when you're doing past papers. Okay. Right, what I want you to have a go at now, and I'm going to give you a little bit of time to do this. What I'd like you to have a go at is I would like you to look at the task Estynedig, the written task here. Now, this is a chance for you to show what we've been through today. So what you can do is you can pause the video, don't forget. You can write some of these down and you can go back and then play the video again on the extended reasons path. Look at where I've given you some ideas and see if you can now take them and use them in your own work by building up your sentence, okay? So what I want you to do is I've given you different topics and I've given you different reasons that I want you to use. And I want you to put these into a sentence, okay? So the first one, I've done an example for you, but there's nothing wrong with you rewriting that yourself, okay? So gwyliau, holidays, I want you to talk about holidays and I want you to somehow use the reason achos dwi'n hoffi, because I like. So let's have a look at the example sentence and then we'll go through the others, okay? So holidays and because I like. Don't forget as well, there's nothing wrong with including idioms, connectives, third person, extra bits of detail. We don't just want to write one sentence with that achos dwi'n hoffi in it. The more we can extend, the better, okay? So the example answer says, a bod yn honest, dwi'n mwynhau mynd ar wyliau I Australia. So to be honest, I enjoy going on holiday to Australia achos dwi'n hoffi traethau, because I like beaches. So once again, it's a really good bit of information, a specific reason. I like going on holiday to Australia because I like the beaches. Not just it's great, not just it's fun, not just it's hot. I like these beaches. That allows me then to develop that further. Why do I like the beaches? What type of beaches are there? So let's have a look what the next part says. Yn Australia, mae traethau pert. Felly, mae'n hyfryd yna. So in Australia, there are pretty beaches, traethau pert. Once again, that adjective is coming after the noun, okay? Mae traeth ei pert, felly mae'n hyfryd. So there are pretty beaches, therefore it's lovely there, okay? So let's have a look at the 4 that I would like you to have a go at, okay? So we've got penwythnos is the topic, weekend, and I want you to try and fit the reason, achos mae'n gallu bod yn, because it can be, okay? So for example, I like doing this in the weekend because it can be interesting, or sometimes I do this on the weekend because it can be great, but on the other hand, don't forget, you can put a positive reason, and then also say, but on the other hand, I dislike this. The second sentence I want you to do is about Cymru, Wales. And I want you to try and use the reason, achos mae'n edrych yn, because it looks something. Okay? So I like Wales because it looks pretty. Or in particular, my favourite thing, fy hoff beth am Cymru, ydy whatever. Okay? The next one, y dyfodol, the future. So you can talk about coleg, brifysgol, chweched, jobs, employment, anything to do with the future. And I would like the phrase achos dwi'n hoffi. So you could say something along the lines of, hoffwn i waith ran amser. I would like to have part-time work. Achos dwi'n hoffi arian, because I like money, or because I like learning new skills. We've had that already in this session. And the last one, technology. So anything to do with technology. So you can talk about a phone, appiau, textio, ffonio ffrindiau, anything like that. Achos mae'n achosi, because it causes. So you could say something along the lines of, something that leads itself well there, is something along the lines of, dwi ddim yn hoffi whatever, achos mae'n achosi problemau. You can also use the word fel, spelt F-E-L, fel, okay, to give examples. So cause problems fel, such as this, bullio, etc. If you're on about social media or phones in that instance. You could also say problems gyda ffrindiau, anything like that. Don't forget, use the vocabulary you know. Try and get the sentence to be accurate and basic and then build up from there. Okay, so I'm going to give you 1 minute I bob brawddeg. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes now to try and do those 4 sentences. Okay, and then we will finish off by looking at matching some sentences up. So use the example now. Use the example that's there. The example starts off with an idiom, doesn't it? A bod yn honest, to be honest. So it's a nice start to the sentence. Then we've got an opinion. I enjoy going on holiday to Australia. Then we've got the reason after the opinion, okay? The reason is following the opinion. But also, at the end of that sentence, we've got that extra bit of detail. So think back to the start of the session where we said, is there a way you can get your 5 W's in? Pam, why? Well, we've got the extended reasoning. Pryd, when do they do it? Or when do you like doing this on your weekend? Or when does your friend like doing this? Beth, okay, what do you like doing? Okay, where, ble, where do you do this hobby? Gyda pwy, who do you do this hobby with? Okay, and even just adding 1 or 2 of those extra little bits of detail will make a difference. Try and vary up your answers as well. Remember what we said about using that variety. A bod yn honest maybe the first time. Yn bersonol, personally, maybe the second time. O dro I dro, from time to time. Okay, nesaf, next. Using little words like that. Hefyd, also. Yn ogystal â hyn, as well as this. Okay, all of these phrases are going to be useful for you when you're forming these answers. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes now, 2 minutes, then we will move on to the final part of the session. Okay, pob luck, and don't forget, try and include as much detail as possible. Don't forget as well to use every bit of information you already know to make your answers as detailed as possible. And if you don't know a word as well, try and replace it with a different word. Okay, so don't panic if you don't know one word. Think around it, especially if you're doing written work. There's ways around it. Oh, I don't know how to say part-time. I don't know how to say the word for jobs, but I know how to say part-time work, so use that instead. I don't know how to say I want to develop my communication skills, but I know that siarad is to speak, so I'm going to say sgiliau siarad. Fantastic, da iawn. That's exactly what I want you to do. Okay. So hanner munud before we move on. Okay, da iawn, ardderchog. So I hope that you've managed to write some sentences there using the new extended reasons. Okay, and what I'd like you to do going forward is if you're writing in your work achos mine, just try and think, oh, actually, is there a way I can add a little bit more detail to this? Could I replace achos mine for achos mae'n gallu bod yn, or achos dwi'n hoffi, or achos mae'n edrych yn? Okay, and you may not be able to do it every time, but even just doing it now and again will improve that detail in your work. Felly, I orffen, to finish off today, we're going to match these reasons. Now, these will be useful for you to write down and note because you will be able to use these then in your own work. Okay, so I'm going to read the Welsh so you can hear them being read. And then what I'd like you to do is I want you to write the Welsh and then match them up to the English. So Cymraeg yn gyntaf, wedyn Saesneg. Yeah? So, I'm going to read the Welsh on the left-hand side first. Felly, achos mae'n achosi problemau. Achos dwi'n mwynhau mynd allan gyda ffrindiau. Achos mae'n edrych yn dda ar y CV. Achos mae'n gas gyda fi deithio tramor. Achos mae'n helpu gyda sgiliau. Achos mae'n achosi pwysau ar bobl ifanc. Achos maen nhw'n helpu gyda'r dyfodol. Achos mae'n gallu bod yn flinedig. Okay, so all of those answers are somewhere on the right-hand side. So we've got, because it can be tiring, because it helps with skills, helps with is a good one because helpy sounds like helps, because it causes pressure on young people, because they help with the future, because it causes problems, so problemau, problems, because I enjoy going out with friends, because I hate traveling abroad, and because it looks good on the CV. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, to try and match these up, match nhw lan, a wedyn, ewn ni trwy'r atebion, we'll go through the answers. Okay, so 2 munud yn dechrau now, then we'll go through the answers, and then what you could do, just to finish off, is go back to your answers that you've written previously from this session, and see if any of these actually fit in your answers. Okay, so it'll be good for your revision purposes. You could also write some of these on cue cards and practice using them in the next couple of weeks. Okay, llai na munud, less than a minute, and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, right. So I'm going to start at the top of the column Cymraeg, okay? So, achos mae'n achosi problemau. So, because it causes problemau, problems, because it causes problems, okay? Achos dwi'n mwynhau mynd allan gyda ffrindiau. So, we know the ffrindiau is friends. So, because I enjoy going out with friends. So, I like my weekends because I enjoy going out with friends. Achos mae'n edrych yn dda ar y CV. Because it looks good on the CV. So I would like to study this subject in the future because it looks good on the CV. That would be a perfect example of using that. Achos mae'n gas gyda fi deithio tramor. Because I hate travelling abroad. So you may use that in the context of dwi'n mwynhau gwyliau yng Nghymru. I enjoy holidays in Wales because I hate travelling abroad. Achos mae'n helpu gyda sgiliau. Because it helps with skills. Achos mae'n achosi pwysau ar bobl ifanc, because it causes pressure on young people. That may be one they want to have a look at. Achos maen nhw'n helpu gyda'r dyfodol. There's a good word for you, dyfodol, future. Okay, they help with the future. And the last one, yr un olaf wedyn, achos mae'n gallu bod yn flinedig, because it can be tiring. Now, what I want you to realise as well is sometimes all you've got to do in these is change one word and make the sentence your own. So, for example, instead of because it helps with skills, skiliau, you change that because it helps with the future, because it helps with school, because it helps with problem solving. Okay, so one word and you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8 brawddeg newydd, new sentences. Okay, wel, dyna ni am heddi. Diolch yn fawr iawn am ymuno ar sesiwn heddi. Dwi'n gobeithio roedd y sesiwn o werth I chi, and I hope to see you for session 3. Diolch, hwyl fawr.